Welcome to another edition of Netstruc Talks. I'm your host, Sharon Lead. And Netstruc Talks brings entrepreneurs to talk about their story, how they help others during their entrepreneurial journey. And I have the pleasure of having a guest today who is going to talk about that she is the expert to experts. She organizes the work services of authors, consultants, and other service-based businesses and puts their work into a course format, which 10x's their revenue. Stay tuned. Welcome, and it's Sharon Lead, your host for Netstruc Talks, publicity strategist. And I have Miss Lynn Miller here, who is the expert consultant that works with small businesses to help them expand on their revenue by putting their services and their book in a course format. Lynn, welcome to Netstruc Talks. How you doing?
I'm great, Sharon. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I have to say that, Lynn and I met through a mutual group that we belong to. And I have to say that, the things that I've seen Lynn do and just the knowledge that what you come out and talk about in terms of really having your services put in a course. I never thought of doing something like that until we had our conversation. And, eventually I will be using your services to put all of these great things that I'm doing into a course, because guess what? I want to 10x my revenue.
Absolutely. Doesn't everybody? But I will tell you, Sharon, when you're just new into your business, it's probably better to wait a while, because you have to figure out really what you enjoy doing most, what part of your business you enjoy doing most, and who you enjoy doing it with, because otherwise you'll develop something that you know how to do, but you're not going to enjoy it.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because for instance, I know, your particular clients are authors, consultants, anyone service based, because what you actually do, and I want you to talk about, little tips in terms of step by step in what you do. But, when you get someone to do that, and let's say they're not new in their business, they're seasonal, they've been in their business for a while, but they're looking to scale back, but increase more. Is that another type of client that you're looking for?
Absolutely. Those are the ones that say, get me off the road.
I agree.
And get me in. And I don't want to retire, but I just don't want to be working with so many people one-on-one anymore. I want to find a way to do some of this without having to speak to them directly or speak to them personally. And I've run into tons of people who've been doing this for 20 years, 20, 25 years, and say, I want to slow down, but I don't want to stop earning money.
Yeah. And that's the beauty part, because as you talk about it, you're 10x, and you're literally quadrupling, on the 10th power, the eyes and your exposure. And I'm a big thing on exposure as a publicist. It's like, how is it you can get more eyes on your services and more people to learn about what you're doing?
Yeah.
This is the best way. And then people just don't have time for the one-on-ones now. Like, everybody's just rushing. So somebody could wake up 2 o'clock in the morning, download your program, pay for it, and now, boop, look, hey.
I literally had somebody do that. I created a second course called Get Ready to Scale Your Business. And she did it in about a half an hour and said, okay, I'm ready to meet with you.
Wow. Look at that. Look at that.
I have another one that's a little longer, but that one, she's like, and basically they got to, it's a lot of self-reflection. You got to think about what you really want and what you're willing to do to get what you want.
Right. So talk to us about a step-by-step. I'm a client that comes to you, right? I have a service-based business. What is what do you do with me when I come to you and I just say, you know, Lynn, just like I want more time for myself, but I don't want to stop bringing in the revenue. Help me. What do you do?
I ask you one really important question, or at least explain one thing to you that starts our conversation, which is, you know, I know you're great at a lot of things, Sharon, but what is it you want to be known for? And those two things are different. So once I stop, usually that stops our conversation pretty fast, and you kind of get thoughts, you know, you're like, I don't know how I want to be, whatever. So I'll use myself as an example. I was doing writing, and I was in the training business, and I was both of them. But that's not what I really enjoyed. What I really enjoyed was business development and growing entrepreneurs' businesses. That's what I care about the most.
Right.
So I had to think about, how can I use what I'm really good at, what I know how to do, like write and develop training or be involved in training. How do I put those together so I can still grow somebody's business?
Right.
And then I said, oh, you know, I had 25 years in online learning, and online learning is one-to-many solution for corporations. So I had lots of experience in it, and I said, you know, if authors or if speakers or if consultants could have that one-to-many opportunity, they could make a lot more money. And that 10x is their expertise, which leads to the increase in revenue.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm like, how many ways can we turn your expertise into products? That's the question I keep asking. And it's not a fast process. It's a product development process.
Right, exactly. Because, you know, as you're talking, I'm saying to myself, okay, how can I turn my putting your press foot forward into a product, you know, and, you know, because we do multiple things.
Absolutely.
And it's like, okay, this literally can be put into a course, into a course format, but you just don't know how to do it. And that's where your expertise comes in.
No, they don't know how to do it. And I think the thing that's really interesting to me that I ask people about is, you know, if you could empower a group of people to be better using what you know, what would you want for them to be able to do? And usually they have a total change in their voice, total change in their whole expression. And they said, if I could have like 100 or 300 or 1,000 people become this, it would make my day. And that's what the course is about. That's what they end up writing about, not what they know. So I, for example, said, who was I just talking to? I just talked to somebody who said, oh, I know. Somebody said to me, well, what if somebody was really good at developing games? Could they create a course? And I said, if they have a higher purpose of empowering other people to create games, absolutely.
Right. But if it's just playing games, just to play
games.
How
to make a game?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
You see the difference? It's a difference. You have to have a higher purpose to make a difference in the world. And that changes the way your business runs. It changes everything. I've had it happen to me over and over again.
It's all about helping people. When you're in business, it's all about how can you transform someone's life?
Absolutely.
And taking it to another level with the services what you provide to help us small businesses elevate to that next level.
It's really, I love the word elevate, Sharon, because that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens, because you have it in your head and it doesn't even look, what you have in your head doesn't look like what you end up with as a product.
Wow. I can imagine the aha moments or the light bulbs that come off with your clients when you finally get to that stage where it's now going into a course format.
I have a product development, life cycle. And the first thing we do is a strategy for product development so that we know which areas of expertise are really your preferred areas that everybody cares about and wants to become.
Mm-hmm.
And then we take that and we add content you already have. And that's when we do the content development map. And the content development map is the step before creating a course. Because if we know how you want that content to be organized, or if you know like the steps in helping somebody go from point A to point B, then I want to know what material have you already developed. So I plug that material you've already developed into a content map, not so that you have a book already, but so you know what goes first, what goes second, and what you want them, how you want them to change their mindset.
Right.
You have to teach them first and second and third. And I just handed off a content map today, and they said, and the author said, I'm overwhelmed. How am I going to do this? And I said, you're not going to do it from this. You're going to do it in a system. You're going to do it one step at a time. I bring them to somebody else who can guide them through the process of course development.
Right.
And sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's a person who creates the presentation that can be loaded into a platform. It depends on how they want to do it. There's a lot of flexibility in that course development step. And then the last step is marketing, because I'm not, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not successful unless it sells.
No, and I think that should be the motto for every single person that's in business, that they should definitely look to, what is it that they have to do to make sure that their product sells?
Right.
So, I'm definitely for it with that. But, you call yourself the expert's expert, and explain why you say you're the expert.
The experts come to me when they don't know what to do with their expertise. They have so much, it kind of overwhelms them. And I have over and over, they say, another example was somebody said, I've been saying the same thing to my audience for 10 years. And the audience, and I said, well, who do you really want to reach? Like, who do you enjoy being with most when you're working with them? She said, well, I want to work with this group of people and she mentioned some people who were like rock stars in corporate and now are creating their own businesses. And I said, well, how does what you've just told me map to that? And she said, oh, it doesn't. I said, yeah, they're missing the message.
You know what? It's so key.
It's so simple. It's so simple. And so she completely transformed her messaging, and we created a course for the audience she really wants to reach.
It's amazing that how so many people in business, and I just had a consult with someone recently, and she has a great service, and I asked her, I was like, well, what is your challenge? And her challenge was, I don't know how to verbalize my business.
I get that.
And I found that was, profound, because usually, when you think about it, you go into business for a reason. You go into business because you have a passion. You go into business because you want to help people. At least I hope you want to help people. Right. And you turn around and, you're wondering, like, why is it I'm not getting the clients that I want to get? And it's because you are mixing up your message. If you're confused, what do you think a client will be? And I use this in relation to the media. If a journalist is confused, they're not writing. So it's the same concept with everything across the board. It's just not in public relations. It's in everything. It's course development. It's everything. So, I find that
having 20 years, you've had 20 years of experience, Sharon, at least. If you have 20 or 30 years of experience, how do you break that down? That's crazy.
It is, but you sit there.
Something you want for somebody.
Right.
That's where you ground it.
Right. And then sometimes it's also a mind shift.
It's always a mindset shift.
It's a mind shift. We want to do something, and then, you're stuck there. You're like, this makes money. I want to continue doing this, but I'm tired. So it's a mind shift game on you to say, okay, listen, I need help because I can't do this by myself. And that's where the expert comes in, the expert for the expert.
I ask them questions about their client experiences.
Mm-hmm.
What's a client's state of mind before they work with you? And they start repeating what the client says to them. And I said, okay, so what makes them want to work with you? And they say, well, we talk about what they want, and they want something different. And I said, well, this is the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so talk to us more about, okay, so you go through the changes, you do these little,
we ask a lot of questions. I asked about 10 questions. And this is almost the same 10 questions to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then we dig into those questions. So once we know things like, how do you want to be known as an expert? Then I asked them about their expertise. I said, which expertise? I asked them about their clients. We stay focused on the clients. And I say, what do your clients complain to you about most?
Mm.
So I use different words. I don't say, what the problems do you solve? I say, what do they complain about?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow in getting them to recreate those complaints,
mm-hmm.
I say, well, what does it stop them from doing? And we get to the same answer for what problem do you solve? I just ask it in emotional terms.
Right. Right. So they can relate a little bit more and really come out with a real true answer.
It's a real authentic thing about it. I just can't stand it when they feel like this.
Right.
And I said, well, what do you think? What do they want? They said they want to have more control over the transition from corporate to being a business owner. I said, well, what's the first thing they need to do? She said, they need to have a mindset shift.
So you seem like, you know what, Lynn, it seems like you're more a little bit of everything, including a therapist.
A little bit.
You can put that on your resume now. You can put that on your portfolio.
It's been a therapy session. They got it all out of their system. All the complaints.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
True. I learned a lot. I've interviewed friends every once in a while and said, what do you think my strengths are? They said, by far, asking questions.
And that's a good thing. Asking questions is an art. It really is, because you have to ask the right questions to get the right answers. And, the right questions also have to be clear and understandable. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, dance around it or, seem confused. I do have to say that, our conversation that we've had, multiple times and, in meetings and things like that, you were very clear. You are very clear in what answers you want to hear. So the question you put out. And that's great for someone who works with you, because people don't want to guess game.
I don't want them to pretend. I don't want them to tell me what they think I want to hear, because I don't actually know what I want to hear. I'm actually I come in kind of with a blank slate. I do my research and all that. I understand what authors deal with. My father was an author. I know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
I know how hard it is to get a book marketed. I know there's all these things. Everything takes a lot more work than most people realize. But the thing about the expert is, to them, it comes easy.
Right.
And I have to actually unpack those easy steps so that they can teach it to somebody else.
Mm.
Because they say, well, I just do it. Right?
Right. And that's the thing. We always just do it. It's like a wheel.
Naturally. But guess what? It's not, if you just did it, everybody would do it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Let me ask you another question. Do you find, so I have a question here. Why 10Xers in their experience leading them to, everybody wants to increase their revenue. And I know that you said in the conversations that you have with them, the interviews that you have with them, and you said it's a process. When you get them to that point, that point of it's finished and the results come in, what are the reactions that you get from them?
Oh, wow. Um, they they start to say it's actually by the time they finish the course that they're creating, or we finish it together, depending on how they do that last part. Mm-hmm. By the time they finish their course, they say, I don't know, maybe there's too much here. Maybe I need to make 2 courses. How much of this time is it going to take? Because I don't make the course so you could just make money off the course. I help you make the course that's going to make the client want to up level the work with you. So they're going to take this, they're going to have an experience of working with you, and then they're going to want to spend more money with you as a consultant.
Right.
So it's a business development tool, but it's a very sophisticated one.
I see that. A sophisticated one that adds on more dollar signs.
That's correct. Yeah, we don't sell those. These are not the courses that sell for $100. They sell for more like $1,500 or $2,000.
Right. And again, everybody wants to make more money. So they want to make more money that will, you make more money with less time. And that's what your program does. That's what your services does. You are helping people to make more money and save more time for themselves. Obviously, in the beginning part and, going through the whole process, it's time. This is not going to be an easy task. However, the end goal is going to definitely show that you are saving time and making more money.
Absolutely. The end goal is that actually I do a lot of if they choose to spend the money, invest the money, my team will create the course for them while they're still working.
Okay. So you do done for you services.
So
okay.
We do it for you or we do it with you, but it doesn't require, maybe I would say it takes about maybe 6 hours of your time compared to, much more than that of mine. Mm-hmm. And so while you're still working, you're actually testing your new messaging that I've created for you out in the market. And everybody's like, oh, this is much easier to understand.
Wow.
And so they start seeing results and get requests. Mm-hmm. Once I finish the strategy portion, which is how do you want to be known? Who do you want to find you? What problems do you want to solve? But I don't ask them that way. I ask them in a much more broken down way. Mm-hmm. And they give me the down and dirty, authentic story that they really want to tell.
Wow. So, your straight talk, walk writer skills plays a very big part in this business that what you're doing. You said it yourself in the past, you were a content writer, you worked in so many industries, but this skill that you have has elevated your business to help others elevate at the same time.
Oh yeah, I charge about 200 times what I charged a year ago.
And look at that. See, last year prices is not this year prices, and this year's prices is not next year prices.
Correct. And I'm doing less. It's hard. It's easier for me now than it was a year ago because I'm actually getting the client to do some of the work. And I guess the best lesson I learned was I don't need all your content. I only need the content that's focused on what it is you want to make a difference in terms of the performance of people.
Right.
So if you throw me all your content, then I'm overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. Right. So I've become very decisive about what content you send to me.
Absolutely. Before we go, what last words would you like to leave with our audience?
You know, everybody has an opportunity to scale their expertise. And that is the first step to growing your business. And if you take the steps to scale your expertise, about 6 months later, more people have access to it than they did before.
Amazing. Amazing. Let everybody know how they can get in contact with you. I will also have it in the bio, but let's just let everybody hear how they can get in contact with you.
I'm on LinkedIn, and you can look up Lynn Miller, or you can look up Straight Talk Writer. But my email address is lynn@straighttalkwriter.com. And that is the easiest way to reach me. And just put in the subject line 10x your expertise, and I'll know why you're
why you're calling. You know exactly. They're getting into your inbox.
Yeah.
Well, Lynn, thank you so much. I appreciate you giving the time with me and also with my listening audience at Netstruc Talks. And hopefully we can get you back on again to talk about some more exciting things to what you're doing, or maybe some new things going into the new year.
Sure.
And so take care, and we appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.